to interrupt, but I got to drive, so I'll probably do this without video. And if you have enough votes, just do the meeting without me. But if you need my vote, I'll chime in. I'll be there for executive meeting. Okay. So I'm on the road. So if you need me, I'm here. But I am listening.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, and that's everybody but our attorney, Stephanie, who had a 6:30 meeting, and she said she was the first thing on the agenda and she would join us as soon as her part in that meeting was over. So it's 7 o'clock, and I'll call the meeting to order. I note that we have 9 attendees. Welcome to them, and thank you for joining us. And everybody, welcome back to Zoom. We thought we were done with this stuff, but apparently we're not. So the current plan is that we're allowed to meet remotely until I believe it's January 15th by state law. And we'll play it by ear from there. Hopefully some of this stuff will die down and we'll be able to get back in person. But in the meanwhile, the advantage of meeting remotely is that we do have some new people with us tonight who don't usually come to in-person meetings, and so we're glad to see you. Please join me. I got to remember how to do this. It's been a while. I'm going to mute everybody so that we don't have feedback, and then I'm going to ask everyone to join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now, trustees will have to unmute yourselves in order to be able to talk. I'm just checking the list here to make sure I have a record of who's with us. All right, moving on with the agenda, the first order of business is the minutes of our September 13th meeting. Were there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Hearing none, could I have a motion that they be approved as written?
I'll make that motion.
That was trustee Cormos. I wasn't looking.
Yep.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. Next order of business is mayor announcements. I have several announcements tonight. We did open the bid on the Village Hall project last week. And I say the bid singular because we only received one. We did have a couple of pre-bid meetings and we had interest from a variety of people. The people who were most interested and came back twice, I think, for additional looks around, told us that at the last minute, they had a couple other big jobs come through and they were no longer able to handle the extra work. So unfortunately, we only got one bid and it was significantly over budget. Chazen is recommending that we not accept it because we don't know whether it's competitive or not in the absence of other bids. And they're currently studying it and will come forward with some recommendations when they have a better handle on what they think is going on. Their estimated budget was $260,000 plus or minus. I put in this year's budget 300 for that project because they have a history of coming in under what's the bids are. The bid was significantly higher than that, more than twice that. So clearly we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out how to move on from here.
Mayor,
Yes,
what was the scope of work? Was that just the retaining wall and some of the facade, or was that a
it was
complete
all of,
renovation?
it was all of the structural items identified in the structural evaluation, which included the retaining wall and the drainage and the sidewalk and some steel beams in the vault. And I think that was the bulk of, repairs to the front steps.
Oh, the facade as well?
And it included the Bath Street facade down there on the basement level,
Mhm.
complete renovation. And it included the wood part of the Front Street facade, restoration and painting of the wood and the details. So it was primarily the structural work. Let's see, moving on to some good news as a balance. The Comptroller's Office released last week its annual list of municipalities in fiscal stress. There were 30 municipalities on their list. Local municipalities included Albany, Colony, and Amsterdam. And I'm very pleased to report that Ballston Spa was not on the list. So thank you to our treasurer for her continued diligence, and we continue to be in good financial shape as a village. Number 3, the Police Advisory Committee met last week. You may recall that we formed this committee last year after an executive order from Governor Cuomo, and they had an assigned book to work through with a whole bunch of tasks that they did very admirably, and they gave us their report, I believe, in the spring sometime. The governor's executive order suggested that this group should continue to meet periodically as an advisory group, reviewing police activity and policies and so forth. I offered that option to this group and they accepted. So this was their 6-month meeting. It was a very productive meeting. They went through all their recommendations from the report and got follow-up on progress. And in general, they were very pleased with the progress that's been made by the police department. They also reviewed the curfew ordinance. One of their tasks is to keep up with current issues facing the police department and make recommendations on those. And they did approve a statement that I will read. It says, in light of concerns brought to the village board regarding the current ordinance of the Village of Ballston Spa establishing a curfew during nocturnal hours for minor children under the age of 17 years, the Public Safety Committee would like to make a statement of support in maintaining this ordinance. After committee review and consultation with Chief Bush and Mayor Woolbright, we find this ordinance has served the village for numerous years as a positive measure for the safety and well-being of minors. So Chief Bush and I were at the meeting. I raised this issue because I thought it was part of their charge to know what's going on with the police department. But they did not produce this statement during the meeting. So I just received it by email. I wanted to share it with you. Next announcement, I received a letter today, unfortunately, a letter of recommendation from Cody Fabian, who's our junior full-time police officer, has been doing a very nice job, and we valued his service greatly, and we're very sorry to see him go. We'll be moving forward to advertise that position sometime in the near future. Update on the milling schedule for street paving. It was originally scheduled to start today, and it's been pushed back one day. I was told the reason, but I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. So milling will start tomorrow and will continue Wednesday and Thursday. And that should be the end of the milling, and then they'll start the paving next week. And last series of upcoming meetings I wanted to alert people to. The first one is a Saratoga County public hearing on sewer rates. This is not a village hearing. These are not village fees. This appears on your town and county tax bill as a separate line, and it's for the sewer treatment plants that the county runs. The public hearing is October 7th at 9:00 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors chambers at the county office building on West High Street, or on McMaster Street. It appears to me from the information that they distributed that our sewer tax is going up $5 a year from $237.50 to $242.50. So if anybody wants to go speak to that with the County Board of Supervisors, that's October 7th at 9 in the morning. Second meeting reminder, Tuesday, October 5th at 6:00 p.m. in the library conference room in person. This board, the village board, will hold its second workshop on the PDD enabling legislation that we've been working on with Lisa Nagel. And that meeting is open to the public. It will be in person. Masks will be required, and it'll be in the library on Tuesday, October 5th at 6:00 p.m. And last, our next regular meeting, the second Monday in October, is a holiday this year. And so our meeting is Tuesday, October 12th at 7:00, and once again on Zoom as we are now. But it will not be the Monday because of the holiday. It'll be the following night, Tuesday the 12th. We will be using the same ID and password we've been using for some while now. So those of you who have been coming to meetings know that password and ID and can continue to use it unless and until such time as we have any difficulty with Zoom bombing or whatever and are forced to change those numbers. They'll remain the same. And that's it for announcements. Moving on, I have added a treasurer's report as a regular feature to the agenda. A lot of municipalities do this, and the board has expressed an interest in hearing more from village departments. So I will turn it over to Treasurer Smith and see if she has any words of wisdom for us tonight.
Okay, so the first topic I wanted to discuss or talk about was the 4th of July bank accounts, which everybody has known to be a little bit interested in due to one of the public comments we got a few meetings back. So I did want to say that we got the bank account, we got the funds. It was a little bit of hassle because it wasn't labeled the way that we would have wished. So all the money that was collected at these events were collected and deposited into a bank account, a separate bank account. Since the event has not occurred in a while, it's in our best interest to close that account out, take the money and merge it with our general fund bank account. That money totaled $1,324.38, and we have put it into a revenue line listed Family Fun Day. That way, if we continue that event in future years, hopefully soon, we can be able to track those costs and donations more easily. The second topic I wanted to discuss was the ARPA funds, which some of you might refer to as COVID relief funds. I just wanted to do a quick rundown on what it is and kind of how we receive this money. The village is considered a non-entitlement unit, which means we are not a town, and we do have a population under 50,000 residents. This means that the village received and will receive its money straight from the state rather than the towns. And this also means that the towns are not obligated to allocate any money to the village. The last topic I wanted to discuss was kind of a rundown of our August month. The board does receive financials and reports from me by the second board meeting of each month for the month prior. So I just wanted to reiterate some of the stuff that was on that summary. The first one is in regards to county sales tax that we receive on a monthly basis from the county. For August, I didn't want to go too much into the numbers, but I did want to give an overall view of how much money we received in comparison to previous months or years. So August was down 28% from July, which is not unusual. Usually the summer months are coming to an end, and that's why we have a little bit less of a county revenue sales tax that we receive then. But I do want to say that it is in comparison to pre-pandemic sales tax, so we are in good hands with that. The second thing about financials that I wanted to discuss was our pool season. We again have come back to pre-pandemic revenue from the pool, so that's a great thing. We did open up swimming lessons this year as opposed to last year when we were just doing fees for going for the day or the season. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was our water and sewer billing. As everyone's aware, the utility bills for water and sewer went out August 1st. The billing totaled $601,000, which is a combination of water and sewer. Of that money, we did collect approximately 56%, which is great. This was within the 30-day term before penalties or interest gets assessed to the bills. This is not the same as we have received within a 30-day period. As back in 2019, before the pandemic, for an August billing, we did collect about 68%, so it is down a little bit from that. But again, we should keep in mind that we did extend the term this year. So we have the 30 days rather than the 20 days, which we used to have before. And that could also cause a little bit of a smaller collection rate as we did before. And that is it.
Thank you, Treasurer Smith. That's very informative. You might also want to mention the schedule for the AUD document. I understand that's being finalized in the near future.
Yes, we do have the AUD draft right now. I am looking at the numbers and kind of analyzing every little bit. It is taking a little bit longer this year because I want to make sure that all information that's in the system matches exactly what's on the AUD. We did have a few receivables this year that we wanted to clear up. Some of them were listed on there, but we have found out that they shouldn't have been. Nothing major, under $10,000, but we wanted to clear up any smaller issues as we could. We hope to get that AUD submitted this week.
Could I ask of the treasurer, where do we stand with our audit? Because I believe we have not audited this year, and we are,
We have it going on right now. They are looking at their fiscal year 2020, and then as soon as, since we have the AUD just about wrapped up, they're going to jump right into the 2021 audit, and we should be relatively soon when you get that report.
When do we expect the audit to be completed?
They say it's about 30-60 days because it is 2 fiscal years. I'm not sure how that timeline is going to be played out. We have all the information since we have fiscal year 2020 has been wrapped up for a while, and then we have tried while we're putting together the AUD to have all information set and forth for the 2021 audit to be smooth and quick. So I would say about 30-60 days, but I can't completely be positive about that timeline.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want to, so the audit, when we get it, is going to be of fiscal year 20 and 21.
That's correct. Yep.
And the AUD you're working on right now is for
21.
21.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Treasurer Smith. Moving on down the agenda, I am not aware of any old business to come before the board tonight. So we will move on to new business. But I have a motion that the budget transfers that were distributed with the agenda be approved.
I'll make that motion.
I saw Trustee Raymond's lips move first. I think he was muted, but I think he made the motion.
I was muted. I will gladly second.
Okay, motion by Trustee Fitzpatrick, second by Trustee Raymond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Budget transfers are passed. Next two items of business concern the Committee on the Arts. I had a lengthy discussion with Karina Oberai, the co-chair of that group, about the status of their work. As you know, I think I announced it last meeting or maybe meeting before that, we did have a resignation from that group. The current charge lists their membership as 5. Karina tells me that that's not enough because they're trying to start new initiatives and they want enough people to work on those new initiatives. And so she asked that we raise the membership number to a larger number. I asked her how many, and she said, can we leave it flexible and make it a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 15? And that way, if they've got busy projects going on, they can bring in more people to help. So that's the first motion on the agenda. The second one is 2 appointments, which depend on the first one because that would bring their number to 6, which currently is not allowed. So with that explanation, I will ask for a motion that the composition of the Committee on the Arts be changed to a minimum of 5 members and a maximum of 15 members.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trustee Cormos. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
You two are very good at this
Beat
timing.
you that time.
I gotta-
Very, no, give that, Shawn gets to second this time.
Second by Trustee Raymond. Any discussion?
I think it's a good idea if they,
Yeah,
Okay. Yes, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. And now it will be in order to ask for a motion to ratify my appointment of Lori Riggs and Kate Van Buren to the Committee on the Arts. And these will be terms expiring in 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trustee Raymond. Is there a second?
second,
Second by Trustee Cormos. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. The next motion is to ratify the appointment of Victor Matthews as a part-time crossing guard. And I do want to note for the minutes that Victor started work last week and that prior to his starting work, our village administrator, Jen Moskowitz, made a call around to the board members to get their approval on this hire. So this hire has already been verbally approved by the board and the person has already started work. But for the purposes of the minutes and the written record, I would ask for a motion to ratify my appointment of Victor Matthews as a part-time crossing guard.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trustee Fitzpatrick. Is there a second?
second,
Second by Trustee Raymond. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. For the first time in the history of board meetings, there is no item on the consent agenda tonight. So we'll pass over that one and we'll move on to trustee liaison reports. Any trustee have a report to present tonight?
I do, just brief. Davy Resources, the consulting firm on the tree grant, finished their inventory and are working on the report. And we'll be, hopefully presenting it at our next Park and Tree Board, and we'll publicize that if people are interested in what kind of trees and what condition they are in on the public trees. They should attend that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't necessarily have a report per se, but more of, it is my understanding that we're going to be eligible for a substantial sum of money for infrastructure in the upcoming budget year. And I would think I was hoping maybe we could plan for a workshop at some point to develop a plan and how we're going to use those funds. You know, get with Jeff and the rest of the board and kind of try to start a strategy on how we can best use those funds when they do become available.
Yeah, I believe those funds are restricted to water and sewer infrastructure, as I recall. Is that correct, Treasurer Smith?
That's correct.
It's also eligible for a few other categories. I mean, the main purpose was to make up revenue lost by municipalities, but we didn't lose that much. There's a couple of other things that, you know, really don't particularly, but the big one is that they allowed it to be used for water, sewer, and that includes stormwater. Actually, there's something in there, you can use it for paving if you're doing a water or sewer project. There's a few details. There was a well-attended presentation at the NICOM meeting on it, and Julia was there as well, and I'll send everybody, you know, the notes from that session so you can look at the details. But our total is about 536,000 over 2 years, which is a sizable increase in our revenues. And I agree with Shawn that we should sit down and discuss, you know, a plan for that money. You know, I would think primarily for infrastructure improvements, or for planning so that we can go after some of the large grant money that's available.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be a good idea for us to prioritize and plan for that infrastructure process. But we do have a workshop next week and we have a board meeting the week after. So I'll probably look at the schedule for maybe the third week in October or something. There's no particular rush because
Well,
we're not doing it right away.
well, the rush is not for our timeline, but you have to remember every other municipality in the state, well, in the country actually, got this money. And many of them are looking to spend it on infrastructure because that's the biggest need. And that's going to tie up the engineers and consultants. So if we wait too long, there might not be anybody available to do work. Just a caution.
Yeah, well, and not that caution, but I would find it, one of the reasons, I'm glad we're going to do a workshop because I, for one, would find it very helpful to know. I mean, I know a lot of things are in bad shape. I would just like to sort of understand, you know, what from Jeff's point of view or the engineer's point of view, what is the most crucial for attention. So I think a workshop is good whenever we can do it.
Well, keep in mind that we are in the process of collecting information. We did commission the study of our well field and aquifer, and I'm hoping that study will be concluded soon. I sent the engineer a reminder asking him when it was going to be ready, and I got the automatic on vacation reply. So I don't have that for you tonight, but we have also asked them to give us a proposal on doing water and sewer delivery distribution study, and we're waiting on that right now.
Who's the engineer doing that? Is that Jason?
Jason, yeah,
So,
they're engineer.
okay, it's just that, you know, are we automatically giving all this work to Jason, or are we looking at you know, putting it out to other firms?
Well, you can put anything you want out to other firms. We're not required to use Chazen for anything, but somebody's got to write the RFP and evaluate the bids. So that probably would involve hiring another consultant to do work.
Yeah,
Jason,
I mean,
would
in
do-
my opinion, for RFPs, I don't think you're gonna see a huge change in numbers, you know, in competitiveness. I would think that if they were gonna do design work, that's probably where we need to maybe expand our horizons. But for developing RFPs, just to collect essentially inventory of data, you know, whether or not it's water, whether, you know,
Yeah.
we probably need to scope all of our stormwater and all of our sewer lines and
Yep.
to find out exactly what kind of shape they're in. So, you know, those type of things, you know, just developing an RFP probably there isn't going to be, you know, necessarily a huge savings, because that's more or less just defining a contract. So,
I mean, if I have it right, what we want is someone to do the scoping. What is it, basically similar to what we did on the transportation? What's the existing conditions? What's the status of our pipes? Which ones are, you know, or, you know, and that may take some dollars to send cameras through, et cetera, but that's equivalent to looking at what's the state of our transportation system? What's the state of our water, sewer, and stormwater? And then we need to go into design. How do we fix it? And that's where maybe we go competitive. If that,
to be continued at our workshop on this topic.
yeah,
May I also go back, because we're doing these liaison reports. I think it would be helpful, Liz, when you're talking about the inventory of trees, and I'm thinking about this. I told you before that in the last meeting that the library is required by the Southern Adirondack Library System to do a community plan of service. They've spent a lot of time on it. There's been a committee that does it. And when we're ready at some point in the future, I'm going to ask them to come to a board meeting and actually, you know, do a presentation. Don't get crazy. It'd only be about 10 minutes, but to speak to, because one of the things that was part of it was a survey of the community about what the community wants from the library. I think in terms of the park and tree, I think it would be the tree inventory. It would be very helpful if the people who, when you get the report, if somebody who actually provided the service could come to a meeting and give a short,
yeah.
you know, to the board. I mean, I think, first of all, not just the board, but the importance of it is that it's a matter of public record and that these meetings are recorded, and then somebody who couldn't make some of the park and tree board meetings could be up to date on what these, you know, these things, these surveys found.
That's part of their scope of work.
Okay, so they'll do that at some point.
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, any other liaison reports?
Mr. Mayor, I got one other thing for the Arts Committee.
Okay,
Back on September 13th, and I just sent it again last Friday, they asked us to approve two things. One is they're doing a planter project, an art project with planters, and they're asking permission to put a planter in Winswall Park. I don't have the email in front of me, I'm driving, but hopefully someone might. They wanted one planter in Winswall Park and one planter by the wrought iron fence by the parking lot, the public parking lot on Front and Back. So that was one request, if they could do that in the month of October. I'm not sure exactly their timing. The other request was they wanted to have an event in Wiswall Park on, I think it's October 4th at 12 noon.
No,
And if
no,
anyone has, what?
It's-
Oh, go ahead.
it's October. I'm looking at your email, Ben, and it's October 17th at 12 noon.
Oh, okay, sorry, thank you. Is there any other detail I missed in that email to share? I think the planter request is the more timely one.
Do we
Yeah.
have to make a motion on that, or is that?
we can do that under other business in a few minutes.
Okay,
I
Okay.
probably dropped the ball on that. I appreciate your reminding us, because the 13th was the night of our last meeting. when I frequently don't get through my email because I'm preparing for the meeting. And then I left town for the rest of the week the following morning. So I probably never saw that email. But we can do that momentarily.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Moving on to other business. Could I have a motion to approve the Committee on the Arts request for artistic planter project involving space in Wiswall Park and the village parking lot on the corner of Front and Bath, and their request to have a public event October 17th at noon in Wiswall Park?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by trustee Baskin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Fitzpatrick, second by trustee Fitzpatrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. That motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, I will move on to public comment and see if we can remember how this works tonight. We have 14 people in attendance. The easiest way to do a public comment is to raise your hand and I will recognize you and allow you to speak. The alternate way is to send a message to the Q&A box if you have difficulty raising your hand for whatever reason. So I'll open the floor to public comment, and I see the first hand I see is Langdon Jenkins. And I'm going to move him over so that we can see him and hear him. And as soon as
I'm here. Can you hear me?
yes, okay. I was just looking to see if your sound was turned on, so you're
No,
good.
It made me go through and become a panelist and all that stuff, but it works, right? I'm on
Yes,
Teams all day, not Zoom. But thank you for letting me speak for a second. Only take a minute. My name is Langdon Jenkins. I'm a father, husband, a parent of 3 children, taxpayer, and a person in long-term recovery who lived in a Ballston spot for 15 years. I'm here to comment today to encourage the village to opt out of on-site marijuana consumption. That is, banning on-site consumption of cannabis in retail stores or restaurants, which are commonly called tasting rooms. And I got 2 reasons. The first one is with other localities opting out, the fact that if we did opt in would cause people to drive here to visit the tasting rooms with no effective way for law enforcement to measure the impairment of the drivers. And second of all, I just kind of want to ground everybody is the type of marijuana that will be available at these tasting rooms. And this is just the following is a sampling of a few products available in dispensaries in Massachusetts. Now, not for on-site consumption, which they could do it, but it's illegal there. But this is just the type of product that is available at the dispensaries in Massachusetts, right? Wheelchair weed. The name best describes this stuff of such intense potency that it typically incapacitates its users, hits hard and hits fast. You won't want to move around for an hour or two. Purple Urkel. Purple Urkel is 2-hitter and quitter, meaning that a couple puffs and you'll stay high. Blockhead. Blockhead is aptly named, known to pack a pretty serious punch. Smoking Blockhead will temporarily turn you into a blockhead, especially for anyone with a low tolerance. Martian Mean Green. This sativa dominant hybrid will get you lifted. Enjoy your space travels. Super Sour Diesel. Super Sour Diesel tends to produce serious head highs. Many users experience feelings of euphoria, creativity, and paranoia. And then the best one, Trainwreck. This experience can only be described as a speeding train headed for impending disaster. You're going to get blasted and wrecked by the high. So this is the reality of the strains of marijuana that are going to be sold in the stores here. So you can see why we should not have on-site use in these facilities and opt out of on-site marijuana use. So, we can't take the chance that these products will be used and get people incapacitated into a train wreck and then get out on our streets. We're a village of like families, elementary schools, preschools, churches, daycares, soccer fields, and health, and I understand there are going to be dispensaries. That's fine and dandy. but I don't think we need to be the one area around here that offers tasting and sampling around. So that's just my point of view as a parent here in Ballston Spa. Thank you for listening to me. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. We appreciate the comment.
Langdon, can we didn't get your address.
Oops.
I already clicked
You
on
have,
to
okay.
move him
All
back.
right, you have it. He lives on- Yeah,
but
okay.
We
I'll
know,
try and
we
find
know
it in
his
our
address.
file.
You know where he is. Okay,
Yeah, we know where he lives.
okay.
All right, let me see if I see any other hands up.
Amazing.
I do not, and I don't see anything in the Q&A. Oh, I do see another hand. Bob Bush. Not responding here. There we go. Okay, Bob, you're muted. You need to unmute yourself and then you should be able to speak.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Bob Bush, 71 Church Ave. I just have a question. Next week, you have the PDD meeting is going to be in person.
Yes.
So my question is, and I'm not trying to stir anything. Just want to know. We have a meeting in Zoom here. We're having a meeting in person then?
Yeah, I can easily explain that. The in-person meeting is an exception that was requested by our consultant, and her reason for that was that she felt the material is so complicated that we need to be sitting face to face and able to discuss in a more comprehensive way than is possible on Zoom. So I explained to her that we are meeting remotely, but this meeting was scheduled actually before we started meeting remotely.
Okay.
So I decided to go ahead and let it go. I talked to her about it after we decided to meet remotely, and she insisted that it was important that we meet in person. So that's the reason.
Larry, is it possible for us to meet in person in the library and then use Zoom so that other people can, watch and not have to, come to the library so that we could get, the kind of attendance we're getting here?
Well, we've discussed that before, and the difficulty with that is if we use multiple laptops so that each person is on the screen like we are here, then we have feedback issues. And if we try to use one laptop and put it way across on the other side of the room, then nobody can hear. So it's just a technically difficult thing to do.
You can get a system that'll do it, but it's not cheap. I can
Yeah,
tell you that.
we don't have.
And we're not going to get it by then, right? By
Yeah,
October.
no, there's no chance of getting it by then. It usually takes a good month, if not more, because you have to research it and see which one's cheaper than, I don't know if you guys have to go out for bid or not, but you have to go out for bid, get to those. Okay, you don't, then don't have to worry about that. But it's a process, and you gotta wait for it to come in, which computer chips and stuff are way back ordered and whatnot. So the chance of getting it within a month is very slim. There's stuff they're waiting at the schools that we ordered back in May that we're still waiting.
Yeah, and we're talking a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Nope.
Is that advertised that's gonna be in person next week?
I believe it is.
Okay, I'm just asking because
I will
it gets
check.
confusing whether it's gonna be in person or Zoom or whatnot for some people.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of bringing it up.
Yeah, I asked them to list it on Facebook and the website, but I don't remember whether I specifically said in person at the library. I think I did, but I'll double check.
Well, the one thing we could do is use the Facebook platform like we did before.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I thought the treasurer is researching this and has come to some recommendations on how to make this happen. Where are we with that? Because that would solve our challenge.
We have everything. I pushed it to the back burner because I was under the impression that we were going to do Zoom going forward. So we did not go further with purchasing that equipment at this point.
So I would suggest we do move forward in this interim period while we're on Zoom, so that when we reconvene in person and for these kinds of meetings with the PDD, we're all set and ready to go. So I would not delay getting all the stuff we need together to put this in effect. That would be my recommendation.
I can get on that, as long as everyone's in agreement, this week.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think while we have this reprieve, we can, get it together. So maybe even do some trial runs.
Yeah,
As Bob points out, we'll be lucky if we get it, if we're going to come out of this in January, as Bob said, we'll be lucky. There's supply chain problems. We'll be lucky
That's true.
to get it together by then. So we should start now. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bush. I'm scrolling through again to see if any new hands are up. And I don't see any, and I don't see anything at the Q&A. So if there's no additional public comment, I will close the public comment period, and thanks to our two speakers. And that brings us to the end of the regular meeting. We do need to go into executive session tonight to discuss contract negotiations, which are ongoing. The board then is required to come back into public session in order to adjourn this meeting. Unfortunately, the village Zoom account will not allow two meetings to occur at the same time. So the only way I can open up the executive session meeting is by closing this meeting or ending this meeting. And when I do that, everybody gets kicked off. You're welcome to join us when we come back. Once I close this meeting and open the executive session meeting, then you can re-register for this meeting and you'll get a message that says meeting has not yet started, but you'll be admitted as soon as it does. And then you can wait for us to, and then when the exec is over, I'll end the exec and I'll restart this meeting and you'll be here waiting for us. So you're more than welcome to do that if you want to. However, I can assure you that we will be conducting no business after we get back from the exec other than to adjourn the meeting. So I expect the exec will probably take, no, let me rephrase that. I hope the exec will probably take 30 minutes. I'm sometimes wrong. But if you're interested in sticking around, I would recommend that you maybe give us 15 minutes and then sign back into this meeting, and hopefully we'll show up shortly thereafter. And we'd be happy to see you. So that's the way it goes. So I will not ask for a motion to adjourn at this time. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss contract negotiation.
Make that motion.
Trustee Raymond, second.
I second it.
Trustee Cormos, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We are now adjourned to executive session. I'm going to end this meeting, and anybody who wants to stick around, I'll see you back in this meeting, hopefully in a half an hour. Thanks again to the attendees for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. And good night, probably.
Okay.